Hello and welcome back, and I welcome all of you back to another Christian Cwiki reading. This time, as we go through his spouses with the technological world, we now have to cover into the WWW, the World Wide Web. And do you guys think it's a little bit curious that you could say World Wide Web faster than WWW? I don't know, it's just one of those things. So let's just go through this one at a time, because you may argue that if it wasn't for the internet, Chris could have had a much better life, or if he just learned how to use it properly. But, well, with quite a lot of the things that have happened in Chris's life, I think, well, learning to handle things properly, yes, absolutely. But then again, do you really think people would have, have been that interested if it wasn't for what Chris did? I doubt it. Chris would have been a peculiar interest, but that doesn't count for quite a lot of other things. And, well, let's get started, shall we? I really detest the memes, M-E-M-E-S, from Chris. He probably also detests this, which is his dad, Bob, or the internet lumberjack, as they've fondly called him, in this small little cartoon image of Bob, for some reason wearing a red hat, is going to cut the internet down. If he had, he probably could have saved Chris a lot of the aggro, and we probably wouldn't even be having this conversation. So, thank Bob, I suppose, for not doing it, I guess. The internet, the bloodstream of our very saga, it is a computational system that allows the transmission of data over long distances through a massive collection of networks connected all over the world. The internet has grown immensely since its first real conception in the 1980s, as a means for the military and later universities to communicate with each other. It is said that about 4.8 billion people are connected to the internet today, which is just over half the Earth's population at this very moment. One of those people is Chris, the internet's battered girlfriend who always comes back for more. Well, can't really say he's lying, and bear that in mind, ladies and gentlemen. If it wasn't for the internet, you probably wouldn't be watching this video, I wouldn't be making this video, and Chris would not be continuing to make bombastic claims that somehow Hasbro is in cahoots with Vladimir Putin to create My Little Pony Gen 5 just to piss Chris off. So, let's get started, shall we? The understanding. Chris seems to be aware that the internet is a place where, once you put something up, anyone with access to a computer can see it. However, due to a combination of his ego and his general inability to understand others, Chris has come to the conclusion that if he puts anything on the internet, everyone will see it. And if you direct a message to someone, only they will see it. Chris has in the past attempted to address videos to specific people, from celebrities to potential employers to internet girlfriends. Most telling is his 8th of May 2010 rant, which was addressed to anyone who served on the Greene County School Board in the 1990s. Now, if you're unfamiliar with what that video is that Chris came back from an extreme sports event, and he saw two people in a relationship holding hands, and Chris felt a sense of immense loneliness. This, however, coupled together with the fact that only days earlier, Chris basically committed anti-Semitism against Michael Snyder. But that's besides the point. It's whether you really feel bad for Chris is, well, somewhat here nor there. It depends who you ask. Chris sees no problem in revealing highly sensitive information in his videos, including his phone number, street address, and the secret name of the girl he desperately wanted to be his sweetheart. He doesn't understand that YouTube is a public website and not an instant messaging service. Never paying attention to the deluge of comments he gets from horrified onlookers that definitively prove his private messages are anything but. Chris has been on the internet for some time, yet does not understand how to act online any more than he does in real life. While many users of the internet contribute content and are polite and helpful, and generally follow any established rules, Chris sees all websites as vehicles to spew his self-serving version of the truth. Even worse, when giving his own website, he was a dick, claimed that it was he who had control over the site, not the sysop or system operator who did the work of setting it up, or the advertisers who were responsible for paying for it. Out of fear of trolls, Chris refuses to meet people online. Well, I would say that's quite commonplace. You really should be thinking twice about whether you should meet anybody on the internet, or interact with people he knows beyond closed doors. He has tried to join public forums at least a couple of times without attaching his name to the account, but has outed himself either on his own or through his unusual and distinctive writing styles, abandoning them when he feels unsafe from his trolls. In the recent years, though, he has been very active on Facebook, Twitter, and Discord, using them as safe spaces and content bubbles to bask in his own glory. He was in multiple self-serving groups such as The Place, the Golden Church of Sonichu, or the Knights of Cwiki, which served as places to spew out his horrid ideas and worldviews in a regulated environment to people who won't be bothered by it. When it was possible, Chris opted to either block people who spoke against him or use multiple sock puppet accounts to view people who have blocked him instead, a typical show of his hypocrisy. I think I've discussed this when it comes down to censorship, but according to Chris, well, there's no depths to which you can't sink, and as long as you can do it and get away with it, that is all that matters anyway. The Fora. Chris does not normally participate in forum discussions, either due to a dislike of reading, simple egotism, or both. When he does, he probably thinks that Chris would be under the impression that somebody should be reading for him. I think that's kind of like the logic of how this goes. He always signs his message, but be it a comment on YouTube, a rant on Adult Swim boards, or a complaint about something in Little Big Planet, or either Adam Stackhouse. He never follows up on these posts either, nor does he read the comments left by other users, just like on YouTube. Any retractions or responses are saved for completely unrelated posts everywhere on the internet. Common sense would suggest... No, that common sense isn't really a word that exists in Chris's world. That's way too obvious. That common sense would suggest that Chris would fare well in the internet forums, which are heavens for socially inept 30-something weeaboo man-children who still live with their parents. However, Chris has managed to fail here too, by appearing in the webcomic as his usual nicknames or full names and plastering Sonichu crap all over the place. He draws the attention and ire of trolls and reacts predictably when they follow him. More importantly, if the trolls somehow fail to notice his new hangouts, he's quick to make enemies completely out of his own accord, due to his ego, selfishness, and complete disregard of rules. Well, what else is new, aka the sky is blue. Chris is, or has been active on many other mediums of the internet. He has run his own blogs and websites, posted videos on YouTube, and communicated with the outside world through social media sites such as MySpace, Twitter, and Facebook. Rest in peace, MySpace. It was only, though, through Chris's existence or extensive activity on these mediums that made him the complication of this huge, extensive wiki possible. Thank the moderators for the wiki for that. As of 2018, however, Chris's online activity has transformed from a naive man-child's accidental comedy act to the insane ramblings of an unhinged madman. Probably World of T-shirts will probably be turning into the latter in possibly only a few weeks' time, if World of T-shirts does not die suddenly one day from alcohol poisoning. Yeah, I know that as well. Bans. As with many places in real life, Chris has found himself banned from a few places he frequents online. Thanks to his screwed up conversational filter, Chris has done stupid things and stupid stuff, and has also had stuff taken down or been banned from places online. However, due to his relative inactivity concerning internet forums, he's banned from fewer places online than you would expect. He was banned from DeviantArt in the summer of 2009 for posting the uncensored version of Sonichu Issue 9 without a NSFW tag, though he doesn't understand why. Comments he left on the Wikipedia suggest that he is under the impression that his DA account simply vanished into cyberspace for no reason. He was also banned earlier for the uncensored version of Sonichu Issue 8, despite bouncing from one account to the next. Chris has only been banned once from YouTube. However, unlike DA, Chris has constantly made new accounts after one was taken down or simply abandoned. He has also had posts moderated at Game FAQs when he attempted to solicit money for special characters in Mod Nation races. When his article on the Wikipedia was deleted and his talk page there got trolled, his account was indefinitely blocked. Although the blocking admin mistakenly thought he was a sock puppet of a troll and not the real deal. Interesting. His most grievous ban to date involves Flipnote Tina. Between the 29th of June and the 2nd of July, Chris had the same Flipnote removed from the site 4 times because of its sexual nature. With Chris thinking it was banned, removed by trolls instead of realizing the fact that a Nintendo-owned site wouldn't like having animated sex streams being put on their site. Because of this and other flip notes he had uploaded and then re-uploaded without learning his lesson the first time, the mods briefly blocked Chris's DSI from uploading any further flip notes. When his ban expired, Chris resurfaced on the website and re-uploaded all the flip notes that got him banned in the first place. Way to go, Chris, you absolute moron. The entire situation wasn't helped by try-hard trolls flagging his animations in a desperate attempt to have an impact. One notices a pattern in all of this. Chris has a tendency to not read a website's terms of service or gain an understanding of websites he uses. When protesting his ban from Wikipedia for violating one of their numerous rules, he argued that he didn't have the time to read the page's bullshit upon pages of fine print that stipulated what constituted acceptable behavior. When faced with a similar conflict on Flipnote, he failed to get the hint that each deleted animation was violating the terms of service. Even uploading a video anyone could tell was inappropriate for the PG-13 website, no less than 4 times before getting his console blocked. As if, and by the way, the only thing Chris did to rectify the problem was to cover up his characters with actual clothing and then leave actual notes saying that he was the legitimate character and that there was no sex or violence involved in his animations. A sentiment that might possibly be true, but it got Chris's animations removed nonetheless. Bans from orbiters. Attempts to leave the internet. And unfortunately be resumed back into the real world, especially when you know this is skulking about. As the old saying goes, when the going gets tough, the tough get going. However, in Chris's case, he takes this and butchers it. When trolls descend on him and torture him, he gets up and leaves. He's like a child who packs up all of his toys and goes out in the driveway when things don't go his way. For many trolls, this would be a great victory. Threatening to quit the internet forever is such a common reaction to trolling that this is also a term known as flouncing. Of course, his PS3 is still hooked up to the internet, where he plays video games, reads games forums, and logs into YouTube, so he never really leaves for good. He merely changes his outlet. When Chris talks about quitting the internet, he means ceasing video and comic production and no longer tangling with trolls. His first attempt to abandon the internet for good was when the Ivy saga was hitting its peak. Tired of Clyde Cash's trolling, Chris proclaimed that he was leaving the internet. Instead of doing this, he disappeared for all of 2 weeks before creating a new account on YouTube. His second, third, and fourth attempts all seem to have been directed by an outside force. Of course, Chris, being Chris, he never made good on his word to stay off. After he made his second announcement of leaving the internet, he made a rant about the Cleveland show a mere 36 hours later. He also made his fourth announcement of leaving the internet just 4 days after making his third announcement, saying that the trolls have both made him scared off and scared for him from the internet. He returned just 1 week after the grand proclamation. After talking about how he almost committed vehicular homicide, he makes his fifth announcement that he is leaving the internet. Oh, and by the way, this is the general cycle of events, so let me just get the slightly smaller screen up. There we go. Chris comes back on the internet, posts a new video, many laughs are had, optimism about the new trolling opportunities arise. A new troll sweetheart or troll appears. Numerous videos and chats are done, quick trolls are skeptical about the latest Troy ploy, and then the saga ends. Numerous docs are leaked, quick communities analyse a lot of new information that is revealed, trolls still divided on opinions, and then he leaves the internet. Trolls bore about dry spells, troll also say how Chris has dried up as a lolcow, and Chris sometimes sticks to his deal. In many ways. I guess. We'll see. Nearly 2 weeks after his 5th abandonment of the internet, he was spotted at Fridays After 5 playing Flipnote Studio on his Nintendo DSi. He soon discovered the pictures and videos of him on the internet and broke his exile to post his response to it all on Flipnote the very next day, saying that he wishes trolls would stop spreading his bad reputation around. This shows that not only Chris is still looking out for his internet reputation whilst vehemently staying away from it, but also he also assumes that by telling trolls I'm leaving the internet forever, he expects them to just stop talking about him. This would have been easy for the trolls to do if Chris had just stopped making videos, especially ones addressing them specifically. Not seeking out trolls offline couldn't have hurt his cause either. On the 22nd November 2010, Chris announced that he would be leaving the internet yet again, and began what would become his longest stint away from the internet, for an unsurpassed period of time. Chris managed to refrain from doing something that would directly attract the attention of the trolls, although he was not completely able to repress his urge to spread his ego over the tubes. And thanks to his PlayStation 3, with web connection and keyboard controller, he still made occasional efforts to make the world realize his greatness. If only. Despite his claims to have stopped socializing online, a new Facebook account bearing a previously unseen photograph of Chris was discovered on the 5th of July 2011, and 2 weeks later it was revealed that between the 29th of May and 20th of June 2011, Chris was frequently frequenting the forum Tomboys and Tomgirls of Virginia while trying and failing to stay anonymous. This culminated with 3 new videos released on the 6th of August 2011 after a 257-day YouTube hiatus. Although unofficial, it is worth mentioning that after the death of Bob in September of 2011, Chris had not returned to YouTube for over 2 years, which broke its previous record of 257 days. Technically, that could have been considered a 7th internet abandonment, with the only exceptions being Facebook and Twitter. However, in November 2013, Chris uploaded a video he recorded the previous month, once again showing that, ultimately, he just can't resist uploading videos or things about himself. He continued to upload videos sparingly throughout 2014 and 15, returning on a regular basis from October 2015 onwards. And these, just for what they're worth, these are, sorry, hang on 1 second. There we go. The days when Chris left the internet forever: 30th of March 2009, 21st of March 2010, 27th of May 2010, 31st of May 2010, 6th of June 2010, and 22nd November 2010. All of these are practically the same, and the only things you really need to know about them is that Chris would come back time and time again. And, well, again, another pretty short one, all things considered, but the things to note really of this are one of 2 things, is that the allure, the spotlight of the internet was just simply too bright for Chris to ignore for good, and the fact that, well, when all is said and done, it's not particularly difficult to see why, because I wonder if Chris, whether he wants to admit it or not, it was perhaps the only way people actually had any sort of level of engagement with him whatsoever. Even if they were not legitimate, it was about the closest thing Chris actually had to solicitating with the real world, and, well, the rest is somewhat history. So, I hope all of you guys have learned something out of this little story, and I cannot wait to see all of you guys again in the next video. Take care, and bye-bye for now.